You're listening to the Millennial Minute Podcast, giving this generation what they want to hear.
Welcome back to another episode of Millennial Minute, aka a glitch in the Matrix. We're back for another week. Unfortunately, Rod, non-existent. We officially sent him his pink slip last.
He just poofed into thin air. We don't know what happened.
Yep, this pandemic got to him, and he just couldn't handle it anymore, and therefore we could not handle it anymore.
He escaped the simulation.
He did. He took the blue pill when he should have took the red pill. Anyways, I am your boy, he who speaks, and I will be hosting this podcast, this Glitch in the Matrix podcast. I feel like people are going to get confused. We're Millennial Minute, guys.
It's okay. No, we're good.
I feel like people are going to, what the fuck? Anyways.
We're Millennial Minute.
Anyways. So, we have a...
Okay.
We have a somewhat packed house today. Let's go ahead and introduce the people that are going to be in this nice little formation of squares that we have going on right now. We've got Chibs all the way from DC. Say what's up to the people.
What's good?
Okay. Low jab cross action. Oh, is that the low? Just kidding.
Yeah, whoa. And then we got half a face all the way in Arizona, only showing his forehead and eyes. We got Alif. How you doing?
I see a nostril.
How you doing, Alejandro Sanchez?
Oh, what the heck?
How you doing?
That's my stage name. Really changed that real quick.
That's what I'm saying. And then we've got...
That's the name that I use every Saturday night.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Right, well, I see no wig, so you know what? Anyways. Oh, well then. I see. Anyways, we're going in now to Miss T.
Hi.
In California, where things are still lit, as red as my do-rag. How are we doing today?
We're doing, yeah, I don't know.
Good.
Getting tired.
Right. And like I said, I am your boy, he who speaks, and I will be hosting this podcast today. So, before we get into our juicy, as Rod would say, juicy topic, we have to go ahead and get paid first. So, first, we're gonna shout out our day one A1 sponsor, which is Productive Culture. Productive Culture is going to be handling all of your mixing, mastering, whatever you need audio-wise. If your audio is here, or even if you think your audio is here, they're going to take it to see new heights off the screen. All right.
Culture.
All right. Shout out Productive. You know what? Go ahead and give them a follow on their Instagram, Productive Culture. They are hands down the best production company to work with. Doesn't matter. I don't care who you think. They top everybody. All right. If you go to productiveculture.com/podcast and tell them the Millennial Minute sent you, you're going to get hooked up. So I'd be highly advising people to make use of their time during this pandemic.
You up.
Yes. Make use of your time during this pandemic and start a podcast. And get your lazy ass off the couch. All right?
You sound like that Everest commercial. Oh, you talking on the phone anyways?
Yeah. You're going to be in there anyway. So you might as well, be doing something. All right? Next. Our newest culture. Our newest culture.
Newest culture?
Oh, newest culture. All right? Our newest sponsor. 3 Big Games. 3 Big Games is a collectible trading, doesn't matter, one-stop shop for whatever you need. If you need comics, T constantly needs new Funko Pops. She goes there to help out with her collection, as you guys can see slightly, a little bit. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, get it. Yes,
there you go.
Yes, but you're a one-stop shop. They are located in the IE, for anybody that was wondering. They are located at, let me pull this up for you guys really quick, 1600 East Holt Ave, Space K24 in Pomona, California. They are open. And once again, this is a minority podcast. We are asking you to support minority businesses, Black-owned businesses, anything that you can that is considered a small business. Give them your support during this time, during this pandemic. They are crucial. We are crucial. we stand together with all small-owned businesses. Okay. All right.
Or small, sport black. The only time you can see it.
Yes. So once again, shut up, productive. Shut up, 3-bit.
Shut up, productive. I was like, whoa.
Wow. Imagine. Give him a shout out and then tell him to shut up.
Shut up.
Can you imagine Jordan comes on and be like, hey, this guy, shut up. Anyways.
All right. Anyways, going into today's topic, a very juicy topic. The topic.
Very juicy.
The topic of sex.
Doing the sex.
Workers.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never even heard of sex.
Sex. Yes.
Never heard of that.
I know it's been a while since we've talked about anything like this. We've never talked about anything like this. So, I think it's important for us to stress the fact of we understand that this is maybe a little bit of a controversial topic, might be for some people.
A little racy.
A little
risque,
A little risque,
I love that word.
If this is not something that you want to talk about, want to hear about, we understand. All we're going to ask for you is just to keep it playing and just mute it. So that way
just to shut up and listen.
Yeah, shut up and listen. I'm telling you.
Shut up the word of the day.
So, yes, T, you want to go ahead and get into
shut up. Just kidding. Okay, we have 1 minute.
We're not going to get this done at all.
I'm sorry.
Just gonna be
shut up, obnoxious. We're not.
All right, T, what's the minute topic? Oh, my bad.
We're not 1 minute to talk about whether we think it should be legal and why. We'll go Speaks, Chibs, Alif, and then I'll go last. Ready?
Oh, yes.
Set, go.
I believe that sex work should be legal.
Why?
Basically because, it's getting to that point where I think that it'll have bigger implications in our society. I think it'll help a lot more than it will hurt. And it's also going on right now, so we might as well make some profit off of it.
Okay, next.
I believe.
Wait a minute.
I don't know enough about the topic. I have a lot of questions.
Okay. All right, Chibs.
All right. I believe that it should be legal, just like Speak said. It's still, if it's going to happen, whether we want it to or not, whether it's illegal or illegal. So the best thing to do is to make sure people doing it are safe as possible.
T.
I think that we should make it legal just so that it's safe for everybody. We've got 4 seconds.
That's it. Come on, see something else. What happened?
I don't know. I was stressing.
Shut up, T.
All right. We're here.
Just kidding, T.
So,
you know I love you.
Let's go ahead. I think we should open up with another question. Alif.
Okay.
Wait, can I do this? Can I do this correctly? Alif.
So
can I look in this? Yeah, if I look down. Alif, you have a question.
The leaf is down here for me.
Oh, no, Leaf's over here. We're talking about.
Oh. You messed it up. Shut up, T. Alif, what is one of the questions that you have, since you have many?
How would legalizing sex work, like prostitution and all that stuff? How would that make it safer for women?
Okay.
Excellent question, Alif.
Excellent.
Take it away, Speaks.
Do we want to, or do you want to answer it?
I was asking Speaks, but I guess anyone can answer it.
Oh no, yeah. Hey, don't fuck your business. That's fine. That's great.
Okay.
That's fine. That's cool.
Am I answering? Shib's answering this.
Oh yeah, anybody. Like how does it make it safer?
I feel like if it's regulated by the government, they're gonna be able to know what's going on, and like I think we were just kind of discussing this before the podcast, but basically they'll be able to test them and see if they are being safe, and I feel like a lot of people don't have access to that, or maybe they don't. I don't know.
They would probably more than likely not put that as a priority to keep their sex workers safe if it's not regulated by the government. If it's regulated by the government, they're going to put certain guidelines in there that would, in theory, lead to a more healthier worker, a more safer environment, because if it's just on the on the hush hush and done in, behind closed doors, there's essentially no rules. And if you're putting humans in a position where
So,
there's no rules, there's certain priorities that are just not going to be made.
I also feel like
I wasn't
not only
talking. Oh, sorry. Like not just like testing in terms of like your health, but like a lot of a lot of prostitutes like they work for like they're part of prostitution rings and like they work for pimps and all that stuff. Like how would they escape from that? Like it's not
I
like they can
think
say, like it's not like they can say like they can get up one morning and say, oh, I'm not gonna work for you anymore. I'm gonna go work for this company.
well that's the thing too. If it is legal, I feel like they'll be more likely to go ask for help, because if it's illegal, you're like, I can't tell anybody about this because it's not even legal what I'm doing. But
Mm-hmm.
if it is legal, then they'll feel more comfortable going to an authority saying, hey, like this is what's going on, I'm being abused, blah blah blah, like this is what's happening.
Also, would you rather have a manager that is of a business, or would you rather have a manager that is his own partner with no rules?
Oh, that's not my question. It's more like how do you escape from the manager that has no rules?
Well, if you're doing that and you're able to register that and requiring all that to be, whatever, I would think that there would be.
I just feel like it's kind of easier said than done.
I don't think so.
Well, I guess, but yeah, I guess going back to what T said, the power that I suppose pimps have is that they're acting as protection for their workers.
Exactly.
Protection not just from like, I don't know, like people who don't pay, but also protection from the police. In theory, that part's a little less, like a little loose, but in theory, that's like kind of their function as like their protection, so they can continue their work.
Mm-hmm.
If that function is then shifted towards, again, in theory, to the government, they no longer have that power. Now they're no longer the protector. Now they are the abuser. So if anything were to happen to the workers, now they can go to authorities. Because before, if anyone go to authorities, they would get in trouble for doing something illegal, which is prostitution.
Exactly. Does that help answer that?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's like, well, huh.
Yeah, mind blown. But
I'm not mind blown, but like I appreciate the perspective.
So do you not think that would work? Or do you have another question, or do you have any more?
I kind of think like it's easier said than done,
Well, I think they also said the same thing about, marijuana and things of that nature too. Before things were illegal, there was always a question of, well, how are you going to make it illegal?
Marijuana and like prostitution are two totally different things.
I think
it's the concept.
It's the concept of something being illegal rather than something like a drug or anything like that.
I mean, whether it's going to be like harder or not, it's the attempt to make it safer and better. And I think over time it will be. It's not going to be overnight. You're going to see on the screen that it's legal, so they're going to walk out and say, fuck you, pimp, and walk away. No, that's probably not going to happen. But it's going to create an environment where someone feels safer, more confident to be able to make those moves and decisions rather than stay in that abusive cycle. So if they do make the decision, they now have the resources to do something.
But and here's another thing I got a question about. Like, I feel like I'm not saying that this would happen, but I feel like in a way that normalizing the act of buying sex also kind of in a way like debases men by assuming that they are entitled to access to a woman's body for sexual gratification.
It's only going to be men.
There's
it debases men.
Yeah, who said it's only going to be men? There are also women that still hire male prostitutes.
But people do it either way. That's the thing.
But on average, like there are more. Let's be real. There are way more female prostitutes than male prostitutes.
100%. But I mean, that's not. There's nothing wrong with having a highly.
When you think about prostitutes, you think about women, right? And men buying women.
Huh?
I mean, when you think about prostitution, you think about women, right? And men who paid to buy women's bodies.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So I'm just feeling like legalizing prostitution kind of normalize it.
Okay, continue, T.
I just wanted to say I feel like I get what Alif is saying, like, oh, then everybody's gonna go hire a prostitute. But I think it takes like a certain person to want to buy a woman's body. And I don't think that it being legal or illegal is gonna really change that. Do you know what I mean? Like when marijuana became legal, I wasn't out freaking smoking every day or whatever. Like I think if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it regardless.
I mean, that's just you. Like,
but then now, if you're going to use that statement, well, that's just you. Like you kind of have to take it case by case. You're only assuming in theory what would happen. Just like we're only assuming too. So
exactly, you have to take it case by case.
Yes, but like at the same time, I don't think that there would be a situation in which it's like, oh, well, now you're just putting like men buying women. But like at the same time, there's always a stigma of this going on in society with sexualizing women through ads and everything else of that nature. There's always kind of going to be somewhat of a stigma to that. But if you shift the power dynamic, then it's like an independent contractor in a way. Like you're working your own, and you can like take ownership of what's happening to you, I guess. I think shifting that would be more power of the women rather than just looking at it.
So, a question for you guys is that like prostitution is at the end of the day, prostitution is a form of sex trafficking. So, how do you secure sex trafficking?
Well, for one,
sorry, we all spoke at the same time, but
go for it.
I would like to answer this, and then I have a question of my own. Sex trafficking, I think, is what makes prostitution so like dangerous in the first place. I feel like prostitution isn't in itself sex trafficking, because a prostitution sex
ties to sex trafficking. Not is a form; it ties to.
Okay.
Right, and so that's why legalizing it it's supposed to make them safer by cutting that off, because when there is no regulation, there is no safety, and that's when people do the stuff in the dark. What sex trafficking is pretty much abusing these women and there's zero accountability, and the women have zero power. So let's just say in this hypothetical situation, sex trafficking. In fact, at one point, sex kind of like it wasn't legal, but it was organized, and y'all know what this is: brothels. At one point, really early on in the 1900s, brothels were a big thing where women all living in one giant, like, I don't know, mansion or whatever. They had one manager, like a little mistress. But the thing is that they were safe and protected in that brothel. They weren't being shipped out to different countries. They weren't getting beaten up and drugged up by men or whatever. Like, as long as they were like stay in that area, they're protected and they're paid, and pretty much they do what they have to do without fear of getting harmed to themselves. Mm-hmm. But when that like ended, that's when this whole ring of like street walking kind of appeared, because they had nowhere to go, no central location.
It's a similar situation, not necessarily the same like severity, because I think like sex trafficking is obviously like an issue in and of itself. But like whenever you take something that used to be legal and then you make it illegal, people will always find a way to do it. We saw that with marijuana. We saw that with alcohol. We see that every single day.
In general.
Yeah, in general. I'm just using the two where it was like one was illegal, became legal, and one was taken away, like with alcohol way back when. I don't know exact times, but people will find a way. But once you legalize it, then it becomes a priority of the government and government regulations. More businesses open, more jobs are created. Therefore, you have to put more rules in place in order to make that a safe, viable option for people to make an honest living. Also, too, if you were to, as it pertains to your whole sex trafficking, a lot of the issues that come in with sex trafficking, when you make that legal, now there's going to be an age put on it that, like, at this specific point, you can work this job. Like sex trafficking, it doesn't matter what age you are. It's illegal for one. Two, they put it like they emphasize, or they want maybe specific age group, which also gives a negative stigma to like sex trafficking and just sex workers in general. because I don't think that people don't look at sex trafficking in the same way as if we're talking about a 13-year-old versus somebody who's 22. It's still bad it's still bad because it's illegal, but at the same time, if a victim is 22 making her own choices versus a 13-year-old, I think we have a bigger issue at hand.
It's also because it's regulated.
Yes.
Yeah, but then my thing is specifically the specific how are you going to legalize it and keep everyone safe? That's my point.
I think Shivs touched on how brothels used to be legalized and regulated.
It was never legal, but it was safe.
Oh, safe. Okay, safe. Maybe not legal. You're right. My bad. But.
And I feel like we have talked about it. I feel like I've been giving examples of if you want literally how we're going to make it legal, you would have to pass a bill through Congress, and then Congress will have to pass it through the House, and then the president will have to sign it into law. But
no, I get all that. But how do you keep people safe? Would these services only be accessible through, I don't know, a quote unquote brothel? Would it be illegal to sell sex on the street?
Yes. So I guess, like you said, this is a completely hypothetical situation with what we haven't seen. But in my version of it, I would say that yes, it would in a way eliminate street walking, just because why would you need to street walk if you can do it in this controlled and regulated environment?
Mm-hmm.
Which is so it's kind of well, why would you even want to do that in the first place when you can just go here?
I think go ahead.
Yeah. So if I guess to answer your question is yes, I would say if it will be legal, I would think that street walking would be illegal, just to have a more structured and regulated system on how to continue that same process in a better way.
Should there be a test for everyone who tries to use these services before they go use these services?
What kind of? Well, you're talking about testing sexual, an STD check? Of course, that would be one of the number one things that you would also not eliminate, but you would definitely make it.
It takes a few days to get test results back, so that wouldn't that?
That's fine.
I think it's more you need to have protection. That would have to be part of the laws. You have to have protected.
Yeah.
Yes. My thing is that here, for example, since it takes a few days to get test results back, right? For example, I go take a test, right? Since it takes 3 days to a week to get test results back, what's stopping me from going to have sex with somebody else between that time frame? Because that test result doesn't account for that.
And you can do that, but
I think in that scenario, that's not necessarily the best. That's not the best way to look at it, because.
Yeah, but that happens.
If you're doing that, then I think most likely if you're paying for that type of person, I think it's because, for one, sex is not very
accessible to you.
Yeah, accessible to you, for one. So I don't think it's going to be just this situation where things you test one day, that thing is not okay. What do you say to the person that was doing drugs, went to Coachella or something like that a few days ago, took a drug test before then, and then they ended up having drugs in their system after they took the drug test? Does that, that doesn't necessarily correlate, doesn't really matter in that scenario.
And like you said, I feel like they should offer protection. I mean, like she said, I mean, it's the person is to work themselves, and if they, just like an athlete, they have to stay as healthy as possible. Uh-huh. So why would they put themselves in danger in any way at all? And so just a condom is supposed to be the number one form of contraception.
Yep.
Other than abstinence.
Mm-hmm.
But a second after that is condoms, and that just protects against almost all sexual diseases unless it pops. So I feel like if that part is covered, that's the minimum. Mm-hmm. But I will still say even after that, you still should get tested.
Yeah.
I mean, before it should be a prerequisite, and then on top of that, you gotta work on it.
Too, what happens if you I think it's somebody?
Sorry. T. Yes, something.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to Alif's question, like not real question, sorry. His original question about how it would become legal. I just think it's as simple as how does anyone start a business, right?
That's not my question. Like, how do you keep everyone safe?
Wait, hold up. You asked how does it become a business? How does it become legal?
Yes, like how would you make it legal and how would you keep everyone safe?
For one, you use
legal and being safe are two different things. That's why I'm like.
Well, I asked a two-part question.
Well, I'm saying the legal wise, it would just be you apply for a business. There's rules and regulations put into place that you have to uphold. It's just like any other business, right? Like if I want to go personal train, I have to get my personal training license. I have to make sure that there's rules. I have to go to CPR. Like there's rules that I have to take to get
also
there.
Too, I think it's also too important to outline what do you define as like safe?
Yeah.
Because I think there's also risk with any profession. So when you say safe, are you looking to make this 100% safe? Because no job on earth is 100% safe.
Of course, the goal is to make 100% safe.
Yes.
Safe for who?
Yes, but
for
like
for sex workers and
but like, are you saying that because this is not like there's no way to make this 100% safe, that you feel as though this shouldn't be, I guess, made legal?
Yeah. If everyone can't be safe, like why? Like you
But
can't.
Sorry.
But what job can you point to that says that you are 100% safe?
Oh, I mean, like
being a cashier is dangerous. You get, there's people
you can get robbed.
Yeah, but what's the probability of you being like catching like some?
We're throwing hypotheticals of like what's the possibility. I mean, it doesn't matter what the possibility is. There's a probability, and also too, but also too with that, like what you're talking about, like what's the probability? I think you have a more likely chance of getting robbed in South Central LA versus Beverly Hills. Doesn't mean that makes the job any less dangerous or makes it any less like, risk assessment is contingent on area. It's also contingent on just a variety of different factors. So if a business is taking the necessary steps and has the necessary guidelines in place, using condoms, testing, proper testing. Also too, one thing that we're also not taking into account, if sex workers are to become legalized, I feel as though the testing would a lot more monetary research would be put into testing and making those tests as quick as possible.
More accessible to everybody.
Yeah,
really quick, just to wrap up what Brian says.
Testing if it's within a day's turnaround.
I'm sorry?
I'm all about testing if it's within a day's turnaround, but that's not. We don't want. I mean, I don't know if there's such service like that exists today.
Well, I mean, I've gone to Planned Parenthood and had relatively quick results as far as like STD.
Within the day?
Yeah, I think so.
I do want to mention, I don't think that just because 100% of the people can't be protected, that's a good reason to not make it legal. Because if we can protect some of the people, then I think that that's like a risk that we should take. And I think that in time, we'll be able to protect more and more people.
Yeah, it starts with getting it legalized.
Exactly.
You have to get the ball rolling at some point. I mean, did anybody really think that there would, like, in 2020 when things started to be late and marijuana started to become legal, did you ever think if you were to go back 20 years that there would be a bar designated to get high at? Like, these are all realms of, like, these are all new little nuances of making certain things legal that we didn't even think possible. So if you make it legalized and if you legalize something, there's a wider realm of, things that can happen.
Do you have any, like, stats that says legalizing things makes it more safer?
Do you?
No, I'm asking. Like,
I'm asking you too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because like you're saying, like legalizing marijuana. I'm not saying it hasn't. I don't know. Like, has made things like, for example, like drinking alcohol is legal, and you have fucking DUIs every day.
Exactly.
But there's regulations. You have to be 20.
I'm sorry, to cut you off. Alif, yes. As a matter of fact, I do know that there is studies because this entire conversation is real in Europe. I believe in Amsterdam, where all sex work is legal. What's up?
And in New Zealand too.
What's up?
And in New Zealand as well.
I know, but you're saying what the stats are. I don't know, but I don't know them specifically. I can't give you numbers, but what I do know the trends, and the trends is that the amount of like abuse and it has become safer, and the STDs has gone down since it has become legalized.
Yeah, like I know in some Nordic countries, like they made it legal to sell sex, but to buy it is illegal. So essentially,
Yeah.
Well, I do
They switched
It's legal, but to buy sex is illegal.
yeah,
Yeah,
to buy it is illegal.
to clear that up, Speaks. I know what he's talking about. It's basically that, like here in the U.S., if you were caught buying sex from a prostitute, you won't get in trouble, but the prostitute will. So in other countries, it's switched.
What I do want to mention as far as Alif asking for legal proof, it's the same with gun control, right? People are like, how are we going to regulate guns? But you see this in countries that do have gun control, there's lower gun violence. So
anything that's more regulated by applying that to any scenario, I think you can see more positive trends rather than negative trends.
Yeah. Also, I did have a question, just for Alif, or I guess for anyone. I mean, so like, really, what's the difference between like a sex worker and like a masseuse or someone from a massage parlor?
A masseuse, like a massage.
A masseuse, someone who gives massages.
The difference.
I mean, they're
Not
lower.
a joke. It's like literally, what's the difference?
I mean, like a masseuse is someone who's a trained, they give professional massages.
Okay.
They have a low risk of getting an STD, but again, it can be regulated.
Well, I guess for me, the point is that they both offer their services using their body, and then the receiver both get pleasure in both cases. You know, so I guess this goes back to earlier, what you were saying earlier, how you're like saying like, oh, these people are like debasing because they're like using their body or something along those lines. But there's plenty of cases when you say about buying a woman, and that's okay. People buy people all the time, but that's okay. And massaging is one of those times when a person's body is being used for the service of another.
Also, too, aren't you buying, like, if you pay anybody to show up to an event of some sort, aren't you technically buying that person for a specific amount of time?
I mean, there's strippers. Strippers are legal.
You're not using them to show up in an event. You're not using them for their body.
What if somebody hires a professional?
A masseuse is.
Are you like exchanging like bodily fluids with them, Jibs?
Strippers are a good example.
Yes.
You're
a professional dancer for a party, like, isn't that the same thing?
Fluids with strippers?
But you're still sexualizing them, and you're talking about buying a woman's body. So when you're going to a strip club, you're using that woman's body for your own pleasure.
I personally don't condone like strip clubs. It's just me though. Like it's illegal.
Yes, but we're using that as like this. Strippers are a perfectly legal form of this. Like you are not, like, obviously you are not having sex with the stripper, which, you know, opens up a whole different realm of things. But by look
at how strippers are fantasized. Like,
look at how people.
But
like,
you're bringing this into the realm of moral authority, and that's where just kind of just like, well, I mean, you can argue about that all day, but we're talking about like whether it should be legalized and safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just asking, like, how are you going to keep it safe?
If you have regulated testing, require certain things on hand, like a condom. I think a lot of those risks are almost eliminated, you know? And also too, like if you were to have like somebody outside the door or whatever, like I would imagine you'd have necessary security for that kind of job, so that way nobody can be taken advantage of. You like, and also too, aren't like, I'd have to look this up, but go ahead, T, while I look this up.
I just want to say, as far as there's a lot of ways to make it safe, right? You can add easy access to testing, you can add security, you can add even counseling if you'd like. There's a lot of different options that we can add. And I think, like we said, at first, it's not going to be 100% safe for everybody, but it's going to be one of those things where you have to go with the flow, see how we can implement things.
So I get what you're saying. Like you can add counseling and
Easy access to testing.
health services and all that stuff. Well, I think in a way that's more information for people who manage sex work illegally to like stay away from to continue a black market. You know what I mean?
Well,
because
I mean, there's still people that sell marijuana illegally, but
yeah, just like Speak said, it won't ever eliminate all. Like overnight, it won't eliminate like all the bad things that are associated with that. That's very entrenched. It's just supposed to make it better.
Yeah, and it'll take away from those markets, so people won't necessarily feel the need to go to that. You know. Also, too, we're also not taking into account the stigma of sex workers too. If it's legalized and it's taxed and everything else like that, the stigma of sex workers and everything else like that over time will be diminished.
I literally just said,
and also too, like, are we gonna?
Elif, what'd you say?
I kind of said like 10 minutes ago. I don't think it would be.
I think it would be.
I don't think it would.
What are you talking about? Are we gonna? A perfect example of that is OnlyFans. What are you talking about? Everybody and their mom wants to start an OnlyFans now.
I think that's something that's more morally.
I mean, like some moral discussion, but is that like?
That is a moral discussion.
Oh, cool. Also, Elif, so do you think, I don't know how we didn't talk about this yet, but porn stars, how do you think porn stars stay safe?
That's a really good point. I love that.
Porn stars are also legal.
How do you think porn stars stay safe?
Chibs, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, how do you think porn stars stay safe?
Stay safe? I know they're required to get tested. That everybody in that industry is required to get tested. They're not.
Yes.
Okay, so you agree that safe?
No, I didn't say I agree. I just said everybody in the industry gets tested. That's all.
That's
that's how they stay safe. You're answering his question. That's how they stay safe.
Okay.
Or did you not mean to answer that as how they stay safe?
That's how. I mean, I know that they all get tested. Okay.
Okay, so I mean, so it's your question. Your question was that like how can they stay safe?
But then like
in the same way that porn stars stay safe.
Yes, but then like I'm talking. Yeah, like yes, people who engage in sex work, they obviously get tested every so often. I'm talking about their clients, because as a client, my main job is not to be a sex worker. I have another job. Like I'm not tied to that. So
I understand,
like,
but.
You know what I mean? So like I said earlier, I can get tested, right? You can set up a stipulation where before a client has sex, receives services from a sex worker, right? I'm saying, and my point was like, okay, I go take a test, right? It takes me 3 or 4 days to get the test results, right? Okay. After that, what's stopping me from going to see like some other girl between while I'm waiting for test results?
My question to you?
He doesn't make a good point though.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's accounting? What is accounting for that moment that I took of sex that I had after that test result that I took?
So your question isn't the safety of the actual sex worker; it's the safety of the person that's going in for the service.
Yes, keeping clients accountable. How would you keep clients accountable?
That's up to their own health. I think what's important is that the sex worker is safe, because I feel like a lot, especially right now since it's illegal, they aren't safe. They're abused, and there's a lot that goes on. You know?
It's easy to keep porn stars accountable because that's their job. Like they're part of the industry. Me as a client, that's not my job. I'm not tired of that.
But it's your job to be safe yourself and to be healthy. So it's
that's for me. That's for me.
Okay, so in this particular case, I'm gonna jump on the leaf side real quick. So I'm gonna just say that, like, yes. So in reality, there is nothing stopping someone if there's a 3-day grace period from going raw in somebody else and not going.
You can't keep me accountable.
Okay, but at the same time, that is a risk assessment that should be well known as a sex worker. So it's contingent upon them to be as safe as possible.
And also, not just
So-
that too. I highly
So,
doubt.
but yeah,
I
in that case, like, of course, you want to always have like condoms. I would think that maybe oral sex would be out of the equation. Going back to the least point, because you don't know what they did. So the only thing that can be, unless you want to do oral sex with the condom on, maybe that's something they want to do. But I feel like I said before, the condom is like protects like what's the percent? 99% or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that if it is going to be illegal, it should be they should have to have protection.
Also, too, my question is if the person goes and's like, hey, I want to go have, sex. I want to sign up to have sex with this sex worker at whatever time. If there's a 3 to 4 day grace period to make sure that you're okay, you're setting up your appointment. If somebody is putting down excess of like, I don't know, whatever a deposit would be for that person, because obviously you're going to be paying for it. Do you
there
really
it is, a deposit.
Yeah. Do you really think, for one, somebody is going to somebody who is paying to have sex with the sex worker is going to have the access to sex within that 3 to 4 day time? I understand that they could potentially, but I would say almost 9 times out of 10, if somebody's going in to pay for sex, it's not because they have sex readily available.
I mean,
Like, I'm just like, let's just call that like a spade, because otherwise that's saving you a hell of a lot of money. Like,
I get that people have like weird fetishes and things like that, but I think it's important to note that I feel like if it is legal, again, you need to be able to have a condom on. I don't think it would be legal to just
exactly. And also, too, like you said, a condom is 99% effective, I think, for preventing
better than you not having one.
Yeah, I mean, 99% effectiveness is higher than most people's risk assessment for anything.
I mean, is a condom 99% effective? Like,
I mean, I would think so. If the establishment is willing to provide quality condoms upon coming in and doesn't allow the client to bring in their own, yeah, why not?
Yep. I think so. So at least have we
changed our mind at all?
Have you shifted your stance at all?
This wasn't really shifting my stance. I just had questions because, I guess.
So how do you feel about the whole thing? Still,
I think there's a lot of unknown variables involved, and a 30-minute podcast is not gonna answer all those questions, and I don't expect it to. But I did some research just like right now. If you guys want to hear it real quick.
What's up?
Okay. Question. Okay, the question is PlannedParenthood.com. How effective are condoms against in this case pregnancy? If you use condoms perfectly every single time you have sex, they're 98% effective at preventing pregnancy, but people aren't perfect. So in real life, condoms are about 85% effective. That means about 15 out of 100 people who use condoms as their only birth control method will get pregnant each year.
Okay. What about STDs?
STDs.
That's more what we're concerned with here.
Yes.
I mean, pregnancy too, I think is.
Well, I mean, pregnancy is pretty.
No, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it's not important, but I think that a lot of people are more concerned. Are you more concerned about pregnancy, or are you more concerned about getting a STD?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
I'm saying there are proper necessary things in place to deal with pregnancy and unwanted pregnancy. That we're going to get into the whole pro-life, pro-choice.
Jordan just said we should wrap it up. Yes, fellows, wrap it up.
But I think that those are. I think when a lot of times when people in that specific scenario, I think it's more concerning about the thing that you can't get rid of versus something that is more easy to get rid of if it's not wanted.
Okay.
True. All right, Al, final thoughts.
sex workers should be legalized, and yeah, that's it.
Safe sex is great sex.
Fake sex is great sex, but you better wear a latex.
Yeah, latex. You're going to get that latex saying that she's latex.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, shout out Productive, shout out 3-Bit, and shout out Millennial Minute. Follow us on Millennial Min Podcast on Instagram. Follow us Millennial Min on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube, Millennial Minute Podcast. And
Meowdies.
Bye.
Peace.